We have Mark and Alayna here, and they have been in the transformation group for about 3 months now, I believe. And so they said they would share a bit of their story. So, would you guys start by saying what was going on in your lives that brought you to say you wanted sustainable parenting support?
Well, I was under the impression that as long as I loved my children, they would be perfect. And when they became 2 and 4 and that didn't help, we decided that we needed some help to get on the same page for each other, but also to raise children that were emotionally, what's the word I'm looking for? That they could express themselves without feeling left out or I'm totally blanking for my words here. So
the strong emotional quotient that they have, and for me, it was that Alayna and I had very different upbringings, and so we brought our own parenting styles to kids, and so those potentially were a little bit competing, and then it was whatever book flavor of the week we were reading, whoever was further along had the best ideas, and so that became very contentious as well. And so we had the approaches that we were taking to the kids were always just trying something new, and it wasn't ever consistent. And so getting us on the same page was honestly, for me, the biggest part of this investment is we're learning at the same pace together, the same techniques.
And so what have you guys noticed in that? What has shifted in that, like giving them the emotional tools and you guys being on the same page?
I think for the kids, it's actually made me realize that even though I loved my children, I wasn't actually treating them with like full love. Like I loved them, but like I wasn't parenting to like the full capacity of like teaching them and loving them together.
And I think that I was very guilty of what we've talked with you about, sort of the passive parenting, which was parenting from 10 feet away and not connecting, and getting more and more frustrated that wasn't achieving what I thought it should do. And getting on that broken record was just as frustrating for me, I'm sure, as it was for my son. And to have a 3-year-old say, Dad, yeah, I already heard it all already. That's enough. I was like, okay, it's not working.
Yeah. And also when, we would hold it together, and then explode over something that was seemingly small because we weren't following through. And so our explosions aren't happening that much. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're following through with the tools that you've taught us. And yes, it does happen occasionally, like, a flipped lid, but it's not over something so insignificant that could have been, nipped in the bud.
So it sounds like proud of yourself for how you're managing things. What other results are you enjoying right now? What are you proud of? What's been more enjoyable?
I think the changes in myself are a big one. It's so funny that I joke, I always say, it's my dumb light bulb moment was that I was expecting to see the changes in the kids first, and then I realized we're in a sustainable parenting course. It's about the parenting side of things. And so then it was like those light bulb moments after just a month or so where I saw my behaviors change, and I was going, but the kids oh, wait a minute, it's me that's changing. It's going to take time with the kids to do the other part. That was a big win.
Yeah. And I feel like I look forward to time together more. It's not like, oh, I got to go pick them up from school and I know I'm going to have 45 minutes of meltdowns or whatever. Like, we don't have that as much anymore. So it's like, it's exciting to be like, yay, we're going to hang out together and get along, and not just like get along because we're forced to or whatever, but we just don't have that drama that we were having for a while.
Awesome. And I bet, yeah. And I see that in you guys, of your like feeling more cohesive and like your teammates in this process too. That's been really neat to see. So this may not be the right fit for everyone. If you were to, maybe tell a friend who, like, I really do think this would be right for you, who would you say this is not for, or who is this for?
I have the not.
Oh, I want to hear. I'm like, I don't know. Who is it not for?
Which is the parents who feel that they can pass it. They're going to learn techniques that work from across the room, that it's for parents who aren't willing to just stop everything to stay consistent. If somebody hits or screams, and we have one thing that we do when that happens, and it's a hard and fast rule, I don't care what's going on in the TV or the game or anything else, you stop and you're consistent. And if you aren't willing to do those consistent things and be active, you have to be willing to make the changes. And I would say those are the people it's not right for, the ones who aren't willing to change themselves. It's not tricks that are just going to magically work like a remote control from across the room and the kids are going to behave differently.
Yeah, actually, maybe on top of that, it's also not going to work for people who feel like my way is the highway. Like, nope, my kids cannot talk back to me. I'm actually okay for my kids to talk back for me because it's telling me that they're using their skills and I need to help teach them that that's okay. So, it's not for somebody who I don't want to hear my kids talk back to me necessarily. And then on the opposite side, I think it's for anybody who just wants to raise humans that are able to express all feelings and understand them and learn how to deal with them. So anybody who wants that for their children, which I think should be everybody, would benefit from this.
Right. And parents who don't want to have conflict between themselves. I mean, admittedly, it's hard being a parent. It's really hard. And a lot of times it introduced, just conflict or friction between us and like the different styles of parenting. And so I think it's also an equally awesome thing in dissolving some of that conflict and helping us have a singular approach to how we're going to parent, as opposed to two different directions and the kids like whiplash back and forth between the two different paths. So I think it's really strong for parents who want to parent together as well.
Mm-hmm. And I also think that because I've talked to people and they're like, well, is there homework? And it's like, yes. But for us, we honestly haven't been that great at watching all the videos, but showing up on the weeks and like having that discussions with each other, with role playing and with Flora and just getting the handouts and stuff. Like, I feel like I've done pretty good on picking up these skills.
Yeah.
Without necessarily having to do all the homework, because we are busy and we are tired at the end of the day. And so I know that there's people out there who are intimidated by that. Like, I don't have time to take on anymore. But I feel like with, the one class a week and then the one-on-one, like with that and just a little bit sparkled in here and there, you can actually gain so much from that.
Yeah, it's funny. I was the straight A student who's like, I'm gonna have to do absolutely every single thing. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just gonna say it. It's like I can get a C+ in Flora's school and be an A+ parent. Because what you just described, what Alayna just described, the amount that we're able to do, it's not all the videos. Admittedly, we haven't done all the videos, but all the pieces together have made us A+ parents. And that's the cool part. So don't be intimidated by the time commitment, because you can make it work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think that's really great, to be honest. And that's why there are different facets, because different couples, different parents have gone through this differently. I've actually had folks who only did the self-paced, couldn't come to any of the group calls, and had just as much transformation. Mm-hmm. And other people that like that interactive style more, they want to really, I think a lot of it is about learning styles. Like, we know this about kids. Some are more independent, watch it, read it, hear it. Others hands-on. It has to be that way. And so I try to offer the different legs so that there's something for everyone.
Totally. And the mentoring, it was like, well, we're paying to learn from Flora. And it was like, what are we going to learn from other parents? And all of a sudden, after 2 of the mentoring sessions, it's like, oh my gosh, I learned so much from one, realizing we're not alone in the problems we have with our kids. It's like, oh my gosh, we can commiserate together. But then it's like the group solving that you guide is awesome. So at first I was a little skeptical, I'll be honest. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, that totally works. That's the value of having other families present and sharing their experiences at the same time.
Yeah. And it's less about, okay, here's our problem and them fixing it. It's thinking about whatever their challenge was or when was, like internalizing that, like thinking about our situation similar and how would I do it, and like, that's the transformation, like really taking that and being like, put ourselves in those shoes, in that situation, how would we do it? What would we use? Totally. I mean, even last night I was thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, like wrong tool, but like, yeah, I mean, like after, building upon it, I love it. And I actually do like that you're coming around to things that we did. Like it's not just a new one each week for the 14 weeks. I like that coming back to it. Like when we came back to the when then, I was like, oh my gosh, we were so naive that first week. And like now when you come back around to it, to see like, yep, I like when thens, but it's actually not our most valuable tool for us.
And I think it's been neat to see you get to that place. I remember your first week, you were like a little overwhelmed and there's so much. And those people who were further along gave you hope. And you are now that person. You guys are the ones saying how much is working for you. I just got off a call with another mom from the group who was like, that Mark and Alayna were just inspiring me so much last night. And so it's really neat to see you guys be in that place. How has that been, how has that ongoing little like Montessori people at different phases been for you?
It's good. It's kind of funny when like the new couple came in last week and just like it's almost like they just felt like they had to get so much off your chest. And like as we've progressed, like we really didn't have much to offer yesterday as far as like we're not dealing with anything big. Whereas like the first few weeks, it's like, no, me, we need to go, we need the help. But so now it feels less like we need to contribute in that sense. And so it is cool. It is kind of nice to see the work paying off.
Well, I like calling her out because she is an A+ parent and an A+ student, whereas I'm the C+ student. She's crushing it, and I want it like to be known like when she does it, so that she realizes she's already internalizing things, and whether knows she's doing it or not. And so calling out the success, I think, has been really cool. And I'm proud of watching her do it because I learn by example.
Well, I'm proud of both of you. Oh, go ahead, Alayna.
Oh no, I mean, I just feel like when I said that I thought that I could just parent through love, I feel like this is actually giving me the tools to actually truly do that and not just say I want to do it. Not mean like, oh, I love my kids and I give them affection, they're going to be perfect, but I can actually teach in a loving way and supportive way. So it's like kind of fulfilling what I wanted without knowing these are the skills I needed.
Well said. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you both. It's been really awesome to be alongside you in this path. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Awesome.